everybody, my name is Farangiz.
And I'm Dilafruz.
Today we are going to cover chapter. Assalamualaikum everybody, I'm Farangiz.
And I'm Dilafruz.
Today we are going to cover chapter 2,
Thinking Like an Economist,
from the book Principles of Economics by Mankiw, 10th edition. In all fields of study, specialists develop their own terminologies and methods. Mathematicians talk about integrals and coordinate systems or vector systems, and lawyers talk about terms, values, and promissory estoppel. It's a terminology lawyers use. And economists are not different actually. Supply, demand, elasticity, weight loss, consumer surplus. These terms are part of the economist's world.
So economists think in two roles. Yes, there were two types of heads. First, they think like scientists. They might not wear lab gloves or stuff like that, but they do the same method. First, they can suggest and support simple assumptions and diagrams like that, because it's really hard to explain this messy world. So that kind of assumptions and models are needed to understand the economics and the world, how it works. For example, one of the examples is that in most of the cases, we imagine there's only two countries. It's absolutely unrealistic, but it really helps to imagine the trade-off dynamics. Other than that, they also support and suggest models and diagrams like production possibilities frontier, circular flow diagram, and we'll talk about it.
First, let's talk about circular flow diagram. It's a simple way to show economic transactions between households and firms in economic market. It's a diagram, and there's two types of market. Market for goods and services and market for factors of production. There's two factors like firms and households. In a market for goods and services, households spend and it's revenue for the firms. And firms sold goods and services bought by the households. And in the market for factors of production, households give labor, land, and capital to the firms. And it's an input for production for firms. And firms give wage, rent, and profit for the household, while it's an income for households.
Now we examine the model called the production possibilities frontier. This model actually explains us the two kind of products and the combination between two products that firm or entity can produce at its highest level. For example, in this model, we can see the quantity of computers produced and quantity of cars produced, and on the y-axis there is computers, and the x-axis there is cars. It's stop. So on that graph, we can see the examples of computers and cars produced. On the y-axis, we have the quantity of computers produced, and on the x-axis, we have the quantity of cars produced. So also we can see the points A to D. What does that points mean? Okay, the points C and A means that the producing cars and computers on that quantity means actually efficient. And outside of that curve, D means impossible. We cannot produce the quantity of, for example, above the 1,000. We can produce the quantity of above the 1,000 of cars or computers. So that means it's impossible. And B point means inefficient. Because we have the maximum amount of 700 and 2000 and 600 and 2200, but we only producing the amount of 300 and 1000. That means we are not using our resources efficiently at its maximum effort. So B point is considered to be inefficient point. So those are the points of the possibilities frontier and actually PPF graph.
And now we will take a look at the key concepts from chapter 2. The first one is microeconomics. Microeconomics studies the individuals, like firms and households, how they interact, how they make decisions in the market. Macroeconomics is the field of economics that examines the economy as a whole, focusing on large-scale economics like national productivity and inflation.
So also one of the main statements of this second chapter is those two, positive statement and normative statement, what those two statements mean. Okay, positive statements means objective assertions about how the world is based on factual information. We can take this statement on economists thinking like a scientist, because scientists take the world as it is without any further includings. And the second statement is normative statement. That means subjective opinions about how the world should be, involving value judgments. And we can take this concept on thinking, on economists thinking like a policy advisor, because they want to world become much more better place to live. So yeah, thinking like a policy advisor would be a best example on normative statements.
And now we're going to solve problems and application from the chapter. Well, first one, draw a circle flow diagram, identify the parts of the model that correspond to the flow of the goods and services and the flow of dollars for each of the following activities. Let's start from the A1. Selena pays a storekeeper $1 for a quart of milk. I have already drawn the chart here. It's a circle flow diagram from Selena to store. Selena is giving her money to the store, and store is giving the milk to the Selena. And Selena pays $1 for a quart of milk. And the second one is like Stuart earns $8 per hour working at a fast food restaurant. Then Stuart is working in a fast food restaurant, and here restaurant is giving a wage to the Stuart $8 for an hour, and Stuart is giving his labor to the restaurant.
Now let's solve the second problem. Imagine a society that provides military goods and consumers goods, which we'll call guns and butter. A1. Draw a production possibilities frontier for guns and butter using the concept of opportunity cost. Explain why it most likely has a bout out shape. And B1 is here. Show a point on the graph that is impossible for the economy to achieve. Show a point on the graph that is feasible but inefficient. So we'll do. So the first A problem is here. We take the imaginary numbers 50 to 50. For y-axis it's guns, for x-axis it's butter. So we draw the production possibilities frontier both shapes because it connects with opportunity cost, because producing more guns means sacrificing increasingly large amount of butter. So the opportunity cost is higher, so the curve, it's about out-shaped. It was the first A1, so the next B1 is here. We had to show the points that are efficient, impossible, and inefficient. As you can see, there's pointed out the points. It's also here 50 to 50. outside of the bout-shaped curve, the point is impossible because we do not have enough resources to produce that amount of products. And inside of the curve, but not at the edge of the curve, it's called inefficient point. But as I've told earlier, it's inefficient because the firm or company is not utilizing its all resources. It's not using all resources in its all costs. And here's the efficient point, which is lying on the curve. That's called efficient point, because we can just point it out like that. We have enough resources and we're producing our product at its enough level without shortage and without lefting over.